Okay, so today's video, let me see how I'm gonna angle. Today's video is coming from a hotel room in Melbourne. I am at the Treasury on Collins. Let me double check the name of the hotel. Yes, I'm at the Treasury on Collins in Melbourne. This is my beautiful room. I'm actually doing a Australia vlog travel journey for my trip. I'm here for 11 days. I just flew in from Sydney. I'm out of breath because the sun was beautifully like lighting up this room and I didn't realize that I was losing sunlight, and I had to touch up my makeup, and by the time I was done, the sun had slowly moved behind some building. The sun is being blocked, and so I don't have that much time. So I'm trying to like get this video going. And then I opened up my drapes, and like the person in the room, like I'm kind of like in the corner. There's like literally a room like right here, and like they were in their window, and I was like, ew, like I think they saw me like setting up. I don't know if they thought maybe I was doing something weird with like a camera, but it was like somebody like on their phone. Like, I don't know, it was like weird. I don't know how to describe it. So I'm kind of flustered.
Calm down. Let's see your everything is okay face. No. That's bad. No, don't do that face.
Like this?
No, just stop doing it.
Today's video is going to be about plastic surgery, breast augmentation, a boob job. I don't know if you can tell that I have fake boobs. Hopefully this video will help whoever has had some questions about pricing, implant size, under the muscle, over the muscle, saline, silicone, what the process was, pre-op, post-op, recovery, how I felt, my medication, returning to the gym, my implant style, the doctor I chose, how much I paid, recovery time, all those little things that I wish I had somebody to help me with. I feel like when I started off on my breast augmentation journey, I looked on YouTube and I felt like there weren't a lot of in-depth videos at the time. Once again, that was like 6 or 7 years ago. Since then, YouTube has definitely evolved a lot more, and I feel like there's a lot more of these like story time, plastic surgery type videos. So I'm just gonna make mine and hope that maybe this will help somebody along the way. And here we go. I felt like really alone at the beginning of my journey, just because I felt like any person that I had told like, oh, I want a breast augmentation, I want a boob job, they were so judgmental towards me. They were like, why? What do you mean why? Because I want them done. Elective surgery is such a personal decision. There are people chirping your ear and start to try to make you feel bad about the choices and your reasoning behind why you want to do something. It really can put a dampening, I think, on you, make you feel like really like dumb and like guilty and like weird, like you're flawed or superficial. Hopefully that whoever's watching this, if you're in that position where you can't talk to anybody that's close to you, you feel really judged, that maybe you'll be able to get like a little bit of insight and information from this video that might help you to not feel alone. Like, I know I don't know you personally. Something I might say will resonate with you if you're kind of in that weird limbo state where you feel uncomfortable talking to those around you. You don't know who to go to. Hopefully this video will help you feel a little bit better. Before surgery, I always wanted boobs. Like, always had kind of like a slim athletic build, and I was just like always hoping and waiting for like my boobs to come in, and they never did. And then after I started birth control, I gained weight, which helped gaining breast tissue, but I still wasn't where I wanted to be. I always knew that I wanted to have a breast augmentation. So fast forward to about 7 years ago, I started doing research of all the doctors that were in my area, and I knew of a few girls that had gone to Dr. Stephen Ip. I looked at his before and after photos and I really liked his work. I'd seen some pictures of some breasts that looked similar to mine on the before and afters of his website. And then I went in for a consultation. He was so sweet and like knowledgeable. He's board certified, double board certified, and at the time I think he was the head of the like Southern California Orange County plastic surgeons something or other. The next step for me was trying to find a support system. On YouTube I did come across, I believe, a video of someone mentioning that they had joined a forum for boob jobs. I joined, found like a plethora of knowledge, people's stories of like what things were like. My reasoning behind why I wanted breast implants and clothes, I really didn't care for the concept of showing off my boobs, but I wanted to look a specific way naked and in swimsuits. I have super broad shoulders. I wasn't sure the size of implants that I would get. I don't know if you guys understand this in terms of bra size, but like a lot of people will assume that a certain amount of cc's will equate to a certain cup size. Cup size scale is like a sliding scale. It's based on rib cage and breast, right? So like, I know that sounds weird and might be difficult to understand, but for example, a 34A cup size is the same as a 32B. A 32B cup size is the same size as a 30C cup size. A 30C cup size is technically the same cup size as a 28D. So if you are a 34 double D, a 32 triple D is the same cup size as a 34D. And a 30E is the same cup size as a 34 double D. Let's say if you're a 40 double D, you're the same cup size as a 38D. Does that make sense? So the cup size is the same, right? The band is what changes number, but the cup size, like what holds the breast, it is like a sliding scale. So all breasts obviously are gonna look different on every single body type, and your rib cage and which is your band size, will influence how those breasts look on you. I started off as a 34 full B cup. I then lost some weight, and I then became, after surgery, a 32 triple D. I went in for my pre-op consultation. Dr. Stephen Epp measured the width of my breast, and based on the width of your breast, they will be able to determine what size implant you are allowed to get. Let's say that your breast is 10 centimeters, right? They will then show you what size implant will fit for the width of your breast. So there's a certain amount of centimeters or whatever give, and they will give you the general idea of how many cc's will fit in that breast width. In order to be able to get more cc's, you cannot then get a wider implant. In order to accommodate more cc's, you will then have to get more projection, so out. So there are different types of implants that have different profiles. You have moderate, which is more flat, mod plus, high profile, and ultra high profile. So I think my breast width was either 11 centimeters or 12 centimeters. And the only way to get the highest amount of cc's for my breast width was to get more projection. So my current implants right now are ultra high profile. So if I had gone, for example, I think it was moderate plus or high profile implants, the most cc's I would have been able to get, I believe, were 420 or 435. In order to get more cc's, since I couldn't get a wider implant, I had to go out. I had to get ultra high profile, and I will add the dimensions of the implant that I got, and I got 590 cc's, which after surgery put me at a 32 triple D. And because I have ultra high profile implants, don't really have a lot of cleavage. Like once you get breast implants, it exaggerates your natural breast shape. It's basically an exaggerated version of what you had before, but just more tissue, right? More implant. Naturally, I did not have a lot of cleavage. My boobs now don't have a lot of cleavage, but I do have quite a bit of side boobs. So I do want to get my boobs redone, but I will save that information for another video. I couldn't have gotten any more CCs than what I got. I had explained to my doctor that I wanted a lot of CCs. He was extremely concerned that I was gonna look extremely top heavy. He had recommended that I had just do the high profile implants, and the ultra high profile were kind of like, he was like,
I feel like that may be a little bit too much boob.
When I came out of surgery, he was like,
oh my god, you would have been so mad at me if I had talked you out of getting the ultra high profile. The boobs aren't overwhelming on you. You have broad shoulders, so you're going to be super happy with the way they look. They're not overbearing. You made the right choice picking that.
So do keep in mind that if you do have narrow shoulders, you have run a higher risk of looking top heavy or disproportionate. I have very broad shoulders, and I will add my measurements here. Because my shoulders are so broad, I guess in my head, I don't look as busty as I think I would want to look, because I do like that look. So moving on to trauma, like damage, pain, all of that. Before surgery, I had been like working out a ton, doing a lot of like upper body workouts, pull-ups, push-ups, and all of that jazz. Extremely athletic like my entire life, just so accustomed to building muscle. So when I went in for surgery, I actually didn't think that that would play into my recovery. So after I got out of surgery, my doctor informed me that I was going to have kind of a tough recovery because the muscle fibers in my pec was so dense, working out so heavily, that in order to create the pockets, right, that your breast implant sits in, they have to dissect it, right? They basically have to cut it open, right? So I will throw in a picture of where the implant goes on the submuscular pectoral implant placement. They basically dissect your pectoral muscle and place the implant partially in there, right? They create a pocket for you. And unfortunately, they literally cut your pec muscle open to place the implant. My doctor said that because my pectoral muscle was so dense, he had to kind of create a lot of trauma. My recovery was going to be a little bit tougher than most. He prescribed me Vicodin for the pain, and then also a muscle relaxer. He told me to take it extremely easy, and that in general, post-surgery, people experience shortness of breath, which is something that I had heard on the forum about, it feeling like somebody was stepping on their chest. My doctor said that I actually might be experiencing a little bit more of it. The muscles haven't relaxed yet. Instead of releasing and allowing the implant to breathe this way, it kind of is being held in place. So it literally puts pressure on your lung. You would breathe in and it would feel like you couldn't, like your whole lung couldn't expand, because it literally wasn't. I experienced a lot of like lightheadedness, and I couldn't really go back to normal working out or cardio or anything like that. And I had to slowly incorporate working out back into my routine. It took quite a bit of time for me to fully get back into working out. I would say about 6 to 8 weeks deep, I started to slowly do cardio and work out lower body. Upper body, I was not working out for a total of maybe 2, almost 3 months. And even then, I was having a really hard time with doing any chest exercises. And even that first year, I felt like very cautious about working out my pecs. I feel like maybe the placement of my implants was affected by the density of my muscle fibers. I have noticed that even now there are a couple of things that I don't like about my breasts, and I think it has to do with one implant sitting slightly lower and higher than the other one, but I think it had to do more so with my body healing due to my extremely dense muscle fibers. So it's something to take into consideration. With that being said though, my recovery was a little bit on the tough side. I would do it 100% all over again. It wasn't 100% unbearable. I will say that I would recommend that the first few days post-surgery that you not be alone, because you are really limited in range of motion of arms. You're highly medicated. I would recommend having pre-packed your food, like maybe meal prep before, so that if you do have to do something, maybe it's just microwaving or heating it. I would recommend braiding your hair and keeping it low. You won't be able to lift your arms up a lot. You're gonna have really limited range of motion, like T-Rex style, for a while. In your home, if you have your spices up somewhere high or you're going to be cooking, move everything low down to like arm level so that you can do things on your own. Another thing that I will say is that be prepared to be constipated if you're taking painkillers. plus the anesthesia will kind of block you up. So in anticipation, I would probably get some of that Smooth Move tea. I wish somebody had told me about that more and really stressed it. Eat prunes, drink prune juice, whatever it is to keep you moving, because you will get blocked up. And it is very common for girls post-surgery to literally not go number 2 for up to a week or 2. You won't be able to really fully bathe or shower with your bandages and your stitches and stuff like that. So be prepared to like use face wipes. Post-surgery, for whatever reason, your skin will naturally just get greasy. People talk about this a lot on the forum. Everybody I know has mentioned this. Also, don't be so hard on yourself post-surgery just because you will have what is called francoboob, uniboob. Your boobs will tend to look a little bit square. You need time for your implants to drop and fluff. One thing that your doctor might recommend, that my doctor did, is putting like a band or like wrapping tape or whatever, bandages above your boobs, push them down into their place. They start off really high, which was like extremely uncomfortable just because in itself you're already experiencing like a lot of pressure on your chest. The extra band really adds to the amount of pressure, and the shortness of breath was excruciatingly uncomfortable. Not painful, but uncomfortable. I did feel a lot of throbbing and swelling and whatnot. Staying hydrated, extremely crucial. Do not lift anything or anything like that. You don't want any blood clots or unnecessary internal bleeding. You are healing, so make sure you're not lifting anybody with babies or little ones. Do not carry them. Don't carry groceries. Don't lift things. Really take it easy, I would say, for the first week to make sure that you don't cause any irreparable damage. Bed rest, definitely. Stay away from salt. You are going to be super puffy and bloated from the anesthesia and just in general the amount of trauma that's happening to your body. I retained a ton of water and just looked really puffy. I definitely would recommend getting like a wedge pillow, like one of those that are on an incline. But Bed Bath & Beyond, now with the advent and majesty that is Amazon, you could probably just order something like that on Amazon. They recommend it like the first like week or 2 that you lay at an incline to reduce swelling. You're gonna have to sleep face up and not on your side. I'm a side sleeper and a face down sleeper. The other thing is bras, right? You're gonna end up wearing like some sort of like medical bra. I would recommend going to sporting goods store and getting either a maternity bra from like maybe Target or Walmart that zips up in the front, or a sports bra that zips up in the front. Super crucial. And then during recovery, the one thing that really saved me was having PJs that buttoned up on the front. Super crucial. Like I got mine from Target at the time and I think they were like 30 bucks. Life-saving, honestly. Driving. So at the time I was driving a BMW 528 when I got my boobs done. German steering, sport edition vehicle, very hard to turn the wheel. I could not drive myself for like the first 4 or 5 weeks because every single time I turned the wheel, I felt kind of like a pull, like a little jab, like burning sensation, and it made me feel very uncomfortable and I felt like unsafe. Luckily at the time when I got my boobs done was not working, so I didn't really have to drive myself that often. If you have an American built car, their steering wheels tend to be a little bit softer. If you have a foreign vehicle, their steering wheels tend to be a little bit harder. Also, boob greed. Okay, so a lot of times people will get their breasts done and they have this magic number in their head of what they believe that like their ultimate boob would be. I would say go a little bit bigger than what you think, just because I feel like once your breasts settle, most people tend to be a little bit dissatisfied with the size that they chose. Compare it to like when you get lip filler and you get used to how your lips look puffy, and then once the filler swell goes down from the initial trauma and your lips settle, you feel like your lips look small. I feel like that kind of exists with boobs. I don't know anybody right off the bat within the last 10 years that I know that has gotten a breast augmentation that has regretted the size that they chose in terms of thinking it was too big. Almost everybody I know has been like, oh, I could have had a little bit more cc's. I was just so concerned with a specific number looking a specific way. Obviously take into consideration your body measurements. Everybody's body is going to recover from surgery differently. Some people have a really easy recovery. Some people experience little to no pain, no swelling. They didn't experience a lot of chest pressure. Their body breathes through it. I would like to believe that I heal pretty normally In terms of scarring though, I know a lot of people that use like bio oil or Mederma, like different products to help with the scars. My implant placed under the muscle through my areola, so through my nipple. Some people do the crease, I did through my areola. My doctor said that one of my nipples was slightly higher than the other. Cut it to be even. And so he actually went, instead of the bottom of the nipple, which is where they normally do it, he went through the top of the nipple, and that's where my incision was. I 100% have sensation still in my nipple. I had heard of people losing sensation. That was something that I was slightly concerned about, but not entirely a deal breaker for me. I never had any issues with that. I think there was a moment in time during healing that I did not feel any sensation in my nipples, but it was very brief and it returned as normal. I do have scars. They don't really bother me. I do know people that went under the breast and their scars are much more raised and noticeable than my areola scar. There's a lot of factors that play into how your body heals and how your body scars that a surgeon can't really guarantee a scarless incision. I do know people that had previously got saline. I got a cohesive silicone. When they place a saline implant in your body, it enters deflated. They place it and then inflate it with saline water. It's literally got a hose, they inflate it and then they remove the hose and the implant's inside you. When they place a silicone implant, it is already filled, right? So they're just cramming it into whatever hole, whatever incision that they made for you. Think of what else. Oh, massaging implants. Crucial after surgery, and some doctors don't say this. I know girls that had done surgery and like their doctors never mentioned it. My doctor informed me that when I would come out of surgery, the following day after surgery day, I would go in for a post-op checkup. Then I would also have a post-op checkup 1 week, and every week for like the first few weeks, then a 3-month, a 6-month, and a 1-year post-op. My doctor was really on point about checking in with me via email. I could email him to ask him whatever questions I might have, like how soon I could be intimate with like my boyfriend. They do recommend in general post-surgery, especially with incision, that you don't want your blood pressure to go too high or your heart rate to elevate, because you don't want to cause accidental bleeding or anything like that. You just don't want your heart rate to go up too high, to make sure that there isn't excess blood pumping into areas that have had trauma. So the breast augmentation forum that I was on, which I will once again put the information here, had different categories. Like people would chat about like when their surgery was coming up. Like they'd be like, whose surgery is this week to this week. Like everybody that was going through surgery that week add themselves to a group, and then you would basically go through recovery together in a sense and talk about what you were feeling, the medicine you were on, recovery, what things you were going through. And then there were people who would post threads of like what things they were going through, and then people that were kind of like boob job veterans would also help comfort them by giving them information and insight onto what they were experiencing, what was normal for them, what they experienced. And I just felt like such a high level of camaraderie and like love and respect between these women on this group. It was just really nice to be able to read through people's experiences. My questions were stuff that everybody else had already answered and been through, so like I felt less alone going through my surgery. There's only so much that you can talk to your boyfriend about in terms of like what you're feeling and experiencing. Like he doesn't have boobs, like he's not going through a breast augmentation. Do yourself a favor and just make sure that whoever you choose is board certified. Anybody that is a doctor of any kind can essentially perform a surgery. It is imperative that you pick a doctor who is board certified. I will add a picture of some stuff that I had seen online so that you understand the difference between a cosmetic surgeon and a certified plastic surgeon. They're completely different, and there are a lot of people that are performing surgeries that really haven't had the extensive education to do so. It was very important for me to pick a doctor that was board certified to be able to complete my surgery knowing that they had extensive training and were able and knowledgeable in order to complete the surgery, but also take on whatever might happen in that surgery room without hesitation. Just because you are going under, it is a big surgery. You don't want to leave anything to chance and just go to somebody who's done run-of-the-mill plastic surgery similar to yours, and then you be the one case where there's complications, and then that doctor doesn't know how to fix it or rectify the situation. I just know a lot of people that have taken shortcuts and ended up with really bad breast augmentations, and then ultimately ended up having to get revisions and ended up paying more for the revision than they would have if they had just gotten it done right the first time. So just please take that into consideration. Your health, your safety, everything is worth it to like pay a fair price for a surgeon that knows exactly what they're doing. Like, do not take shortcuts when it comes to your health. Sometimes if prices are too good to be true, they genuinely are. And I know people that cut corners and have gotten very lucky and had great breast augmentation. I know somebody that got a boob job for $3,500 and her breasts were like perfect. I also know people that went to a doctor, got $3,500 implants. Her boobs were like lopsided, nipples were pointing different directions, and her befores were really like perfect. Her before boobs, it wasn't like a difficult case, it's just that the doctor didn't know what the fuck they were doing. So that's my piece on that. Pricing, I think pricing varies. There are a lot of doctors in highly dense areas that have very competitive pricing. I would say very fair pricing, and then it really depends on where you live. Orange County tends to be very high priced area for breast augmentations. There's a running joke that like you move to Orange County and like they schedule your breast augmentation. Like everybody down here has breast augmentation. Obviously not down here, I'm in Melbourne. But in Orange County where I live, Orange County, California, BOC, like it's very common for people to have breast augmentations. So the doctors tend to be very competitive. I know in Miami there are a lot of breast surgeons, and you can get like a good boob job for like $6,000 versus my boob job costs like $8,000. I know some girls that surgeons that paid $4,000 in Miami, and they were board certified surgeons. You know, it really does vary. So it depends on where you're getting your surgery. I would definitely pick somebody close to you so that you can go back for the post-ops. If you are traveling out of state or out of the country for a doctor, just remember that if there are post-ops, you'd have to fly back for that. And if you don't have the option of a post-op, I feel like you miss the opportunity to really have your doctor see how you're healing, which to me I think is very crucial and very important. Saline versus silicone. So saline is water filled implant, right? If your implant bursts, the saline would be absorbed by your body. I got cohesive silicone, which is different than the old silicone of many years ago. Cohesive silicone, basically, if somebody were to pop my breast implant, the silicone wouldn't spread into my body. It would literally keep its shape and stay together. It would be cohesive, so there wouldn't be chunks of it floating around my body. I had also seen a video by, I think, Dr. Grover, Sanjay Grover. I will link it if I can find the video of him running over a Mentor silicone implant with his BMW 5 Series, and the implant didn't break. I felt very comfortable with picking my Mentor silicone cohesive implant because I felt that in terms of it rupturing, the chances were very low. I don't know why I was so concerned about my implant popping, but I had heard stories of people with saline implants whose their implant popped and then like literally they had one deflated boob. I don't know why that was a concern of mine, but it genuinely was, which is why I picked silicone. I also like that the silicone felt more like breast tissue. My boobs are incredibly soft and they have the appearance of being real, and a lot of people have had a hard time believing that I actually have breast implants, just because I expected, especially since I have ultra high profile implants, that I would have rock hard bolt-ons that were just like, if you had natural breast tissue before getting implants, your breasts tend to look a lot more natural than if you just got implants and had nothing beforehand. When you get saline implants, they tend to do above the muscle. I know they could do below the muscle, but a lot of people do above the muscle with saline. They do look more like bolt-ons, which if that's a look that you're looking for, then 100% go for it. But if you're looking for a more natural look, I would definitely recommend doing a under the muscle silicone implant. But I mean, to each their own, whatever it is that you want. Definitely look at before and afters of what saline under the muscle and above the muscle look like, and silicone tends to be under the muscle and not over the muscle. In terms of implant weight, my implants together weigh 2.7 pounds. 2.77 pounds, and to be honest with you, I 100% subtract 2.77 pounds from my weight whenever I weigh myself, because I wanted to know exactly how much my implants weigh, and that's what they weigh. Okay, so that's the end of my video. Hopefully that information helped all of you guys, and whoever has any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'm an open book. I will do like a Botox, Juvederm video. If you guys have any questions about that kind of stuff, pricing and all that jazz, feel free to ask me questions. I will be thinking of things that I think will be helpful. But if you guys have any questions on that, feel free to ask in the comments below, and I will answer those on that next video. Okay, bye guys. Thank you for watching.